I'm excited to talk about this because it surprised me, the this new Lilo and Stitch film. And thank you, Alex, and welcome back to the Thoughtcast. 'Cause it's been like a couple of years since I've heard from you on the Thoughtcast conversations about animation. But yeah, you're joining from Georgia and recently saw the new Lilo and Stitch. So yeah, we've both seen this within the past week, sounds like. So thank you for being willing to come on.
I'm glad to be back. I'm glad I finally had time to watch something.
No, I know you're super busy, so thanks for sticking with us though, and being a good trooper. But yeah, we've got some new Disney to talk about, live action, but plenty of animation included in this new movie as well. So yeah, kind of a fun little opportunity to take a trip down memory lane to 2002 in one sense, considering this is a remake of a 23-year-old film, but also to check in on how things were done differently this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was appreciable the number of differences. It's kind of curious. Like you're familiar with the new How to Train Your Dragon remake that's coming out as well, I imagine.
I know about it. Yeah. I never watched the How to Train Your Dragon. I didn't see that when it
Yeah.
was, I think that was like my sister was into it, but I think I was a little kind of past cartoon movies at that time. But now I'm like, I should watch it because everybody's really excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, check out, I mean, if you like Lilo and Stitch, one of the directors of How to Train Your Dragon was the creator of the original Lilo and Stitch, Chris Sanders, the artist from Disney. Let's see. Oh, actually, yeah, it was the same director duo of the original Lilo and Stitch from 2002, Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois, who then went on to do How to Train Your Dragon, and then now they're getting re-releases or remakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I said re-releases earlier, but no, full-blown live action remakes. The I mean, How to Train Your Dragon one kind of the trailer just struck me as so odd because it just looked identical to the animated version and almost kind of unnecessary. Just how similar
When's
they
that
are.
supposed to come out?
It's very soon.
I was gonna say, okay. Oh, June 13th.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, kind of an odd coincidence, but no, people are cynical about the animated live action remakes from these major studios, but it doesn't mean it can't work. And I was pleasantly surprised by the new Lilo and Stitch, but I know you have some strong opinions, so I won't bias you by being too open about my thoughts just yet because I definitely want to hear from you. You said you maybe had some hot takes. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it wasn't really like so I had gone with I'd gone with my sister and my nephew and this was his very first movie, which is very fun. But I thought it was like cute. I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, so cute. And then it was afterwards, like when I was like talking to her about like how she felt about it, that's when I was like, oh, you know what? Like you're right. Like I'm watching it like tunnel vision, like, oh, cute. The modern, like the modernization like of the things I enjoyed, like, from 2002 or whatever, I don't
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
2002 to now, right? It's like she's got an iPhone and it's more modern day, um
Mhm.
just setting, I guess,
Mhm.
but it's still Hawaii. Um and then like I was like, "Oh, the changes were fun. It was cute. It was this." And my sister, she was like, basically she was like like Nani gives away Lilo basically like to CPS. She like gives up Lilo, which like she never would really do that. Like original Lilo and Snitch Naughty would never. So it's just things like that where I was like, oh, some of these things like I'm like not thinking about it in comparison to the original or how it would have been like some of it just seemed like a lot of I don't know, like I don't know how to explain because like I don't think propaganda is like the right word.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, kind of abrupt or maybe a little forced. I don't
yeah, it
know.
was some parts of it like didn't seem like genuine to the original um
Uh,
like intention, I guess, or what they were trying to convey from the original about how it's like family and this and da 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 and then like it didn't seem that way in this one.
you're right. I did just watch the original, and that point in the film where it is decided that Nani and Lilo are going to be separated. Yeah, it is a bit of a different circumstance in the new version where yeah, Nani does kind of it almost seems like she more volunteers the notion. I mean, it does come after a lot of
And I
conflict.
understand, like, I get
Yeah.
it, like how they set it up where, she's in Lilo's in the hospital. It's basically presented to her as like, oh, you don't have health insurance, so you can't afford to take care of her, but give her to the state and it'll get paid for it. Like, it just
That
seems like a
too.
little slimy. Like, it's a little gross to me. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I guess the the thing about the whole film is it is such a tricky situation that they're in because they're just so desperate.
Right.
Um,
And like
yeah.
I get I just I don't it was just
I see how that can be very confounding to
a
younger
little
viewers.
weird
Yeah.
to me, like to to have set it up that way. Like they could have, I don't know, they
I-
could have done something different, because then it's like, okay, like, okay, well, I will give her to the state so that she can get the help that she needs. And then it's like, I don't know. Then the neighbors are like, she can live with us. And then you can go to college. Like, what is happening?
that was a very kind of convenient workaround that just yeah, I didn't even really gauge that David was the neighbor as well. We have the
Yeah,
old lady neighbor, but I didn't realize that her son is David as well.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I don't understand why she had to go to California to study marine biology, like, because I would imagine that there's probably a marine biology program somewhere on the island in Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
Like why did she go to, I mean, I guess, I think it was like a full ride scholarship situation or
Yeah,
what,
I don't know.
but I don't know. It's just some of the things I'm like, why? Like why does she leave the state to go like I don't know. I just really don't get it. I just some of the things I just really didn't understand. Like and it wasn't until I was like reflecting back on the movie, talking to someone else about it that had also seen it, that watched, that saw it differently than I did, I guess, that I was like, "Oh, you're right." Because I'm watching it, I'm like, "Oh, cute." And then I'm like, "Wait, like these changes were kind of weird and a lot off base from the original like point and like how the original I don't know like
Yeah, yeah, the original is, it's tighter, it's shorter, it's with um animated films from Walt Disney Studios, they really have to kind of trim all the fat because it is such a labor intensive process to make these animated films. And with the live action versions, you can kind of pad it out a little bit, add some filler here and there typically. um, and I don't know, I kind of like some of the changes just to more suit the live action medium. by eliminating some of like the more cartoonish elements. There's a major character that's omitted entirely from
Oh
the
yes.
the new version, which I thought worked well. It's a fun character that the captain from the original, who's just so comically oversized. So it works really well in
Right.
the comedic sense of him just towering over everyone else. But it would have been difficult and kind of, I don't know, tonally contrasting if he were to try to be like literally, um,
In the yeah.
yeah, shoehorn, shoved into the frame. And the new one, yeah, it'd be kind of tough.
I didn't much care for like the the Jumba. Like it was
Yeah.
there was no like redemption. Like he just was like basically like evil scientist the whole time. Like he doesn't ever become like
Mm.
good, you know?
This is, yeah, Zach Galifianakis in this. Yeah, part of that it seems to be that from the start, he maybe was portrayed a little more sympathetically just because, in that original, he's kind of this arch, like Russian uh evil scientist.
Right.
It's David Ogden Stiers, who has been in other Disney animated films. He was the narrator from Beauty and the Beast and Governor Ratcliffe from Pocahontas. And then he played Jumba in the original, and now he's no longer with us. But that character maybe was seen as needing more redemption in the original version because he was portrayed more villainous, maybe. And Zach Galifianakis is kind of a just a lovable goofball in a way.
I feel like in the original he had more of that like development to where because like they basically end up like moving to Earth, like Pleakley and Jumba.
Yeah,
And like we didn't really get him
yeah.
like being family. It's almost like the whole family aspect of like the original was completely just like not
Oh,
like
yeah.
there were so many parts of how families are like made of different things in the original, because you've got the aliens moving to Earth and living there and basically being like auntie and uncle to Lilo. Um which we didn't even get our Auntie Bleakley. And then you've got, her forming this relationship with Stitch and then her and Nani's relationship and then
Mhm.
like you get so much I don't know, there was so much more, I feel like meat to the original about the whole family aspect. I mean, that was like the whole part of the movie is like Ohana means family, like
Mhm.
family means no one gets left behind, except this time Ohana means give your child to CPS, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just,
Yeah, there was more of the whole, peril surrounding the the threat of water to Stitch in this new version. So
yeah.
like the him needing to be saved. There's a moment in the animated version where Jumba, who's an immaculate swimmer, apparently, he's able to just jump in the water and sneak up on Nani as she's surfing and snatch Stitch right off the surfboard. um, and then he gets kind of sunk in the water. Is it well? Okay, there's that instance. Yeah, I think that is the instance where um, there's yeah like a perilous where I guess Bubbles is there at that same moment, and yeah, Lilo is kind of threatened a little bit through Stitch kind of clinging on to her and dragging her down. But then the process of rescuing Stitch himself by David isn't quite as, I don't know. It is played out quite similarly to that the new version, I guess, in that sequence. You know, a similar amount of peril. But then in the new version, that provides kind of the conflict at the conclusion of the film where it's a similar situation, but Nani's the one who has to rescue Stitch. So yeah, I thought that was effective, but yeah, uh, conflict with the aliens and the family versus the focusing on the family, I guess. Um,
I don't understand. Did they just like take Jumba back to space? Like, was that how that was resolved? Like
don't
he like beamed back up into the ship, and I'm assuming they just what they take him to space jail, I guess. I don't know. What did they do to that man?
don't they basically stay on Earth in both versions?
Oh, Jumba does not in the
Okay.
new one. Pleakley does, but Jumba, I'm pretty sure like they like sucked him up out of the ocean in the spaceship, and then like that. I don't think anything had come. Like he's basically. Hold on, let me Google.
'Cause
I
I'm not,
think he's
yeah,
basically like he's the villain in this ever since like I guess because they took out Gantu from
yeah,
new one, like they had to have a new like
right.
he stays evil this whole time versus like having his like little redemption arc and I
Okay.
don't know. I need to rewatch the original though to also kind of see like because
Yeah.
I don't remember him being as evil as he was in the original as he was in this one. Like he was so bad. Like when he like I
Okay.
don't know, it's like he just was bad the whole time. All he cared about was getting his creation and like using it for evil.
Yeah. I mean, his role essentially replaces um Gunta or Gantu in from the original. Yeah. What Jumba does he? Yeah, shifting the antagonist role to Jumba was the solution. Added a kind of a more according to the director, Dean Fleischer Camp, making Jumbo the primary villain. You added a personal connection to the conflict of Stitch, being the creation of Jumbo.
Right.
I don't know. And yeah, like at the ending of the original has the happy
Everybody's
resolution.
happy,
Yeah,
right?
they rebuild the house. So I don't know. I didn't see Jumba as beyond redemption, but I can't remember necessarily what all happened either. Yeah, shoot. I would need to rewatch it. But maybe he does get. I guess maybe he gets brought back to the alien planet, and I don't know. Like there's more lore to the Stitch universe
Right.
where there are other experiments. So maybe he needs to go back and oversee his other. Uh,
I guess. I
uh,
don't know. I don't know. I wasn't happy with that whole part of it. Like the whole point, like up until the end, I was like, oh, cute, 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 good. And then at the end, that's when I was like most confused about, like, huh, this is a lot different. Like,
mhm.
bad guy is still the bad guy at the end of the movie. Like, and then I don't know. I just, some parts of it, I just, looking back, I was like, why did they do that? But I guess, like, you can't make everybody happy. They would have made it an exact copy of the original. People would have said, why did they have to remake it anyways? And then now with this way, people, like me are like, why did they have to change so much of it? And it doesn't, I guess you're always going to have some kind of critiques when they choose to remake movies. No
Okay.
matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. That's right. Jumba's portal gun. gets used to visit
Yeah,
Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, yeah. He just kind of gets arrested in this version, I think, and
that's it. That's it.
much it. I that's I don't know. I kind of am fine with the aliens being put on the back burner a little bit. So just with the live action being more focused on the human characters.
I just feel like he was such a main character in the in the original, and then also what like
Hmm.
came from the movie as well. Like in the series and the sequels and stuff like that. Like he is
Yeah.
part of like the main characters. And so with this, it's like I don't know if they're ever gonna do
Mm.
a sequel to this or anything, but if they did, they'd have to work really
Yeah.
hard, I guess, to make it relevant again. I don't know.
No, I don't really want to think about sequels to this really. I think it's probably best to think of this as just
A
one
one and done.
one self. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're already on kind of thin ice with the whole remakes uh concept to begin with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they did do that Mufasa film, so it's not out of the question that they would spin off something from the live action remake.
Well, and the cartoon had so much like that came from it. Like there
Yeah.
was it had its own like show, like series, I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
Um, it had sequels, it had a TV show, it had I mean,
It was a
it's been
ride, yeah, theme park.
ever long and it's still relevant. Like, like Stitch has always been popular. Like
Mhm.
as a character, as a like for Disney, it's a popular character. Like merchandise, like they still make it after all this time. It's not like it just got popular again recently because of the remake. Like Stitch has been popular, you know?
Um, yeah, like, have you been to the parks recently? Down
Mm, I went 2 years ago, I think.
yeah. Was there much of a Stitch presence? Did you notice when you went? And I think that attraction is now gone, right? There's like a Stitch alien encounter type of.
I don't know
Mm,
because
let me think.
I don't know if it's in Magic Kingdom, like I have no idea.
Yeah,
But
I'm trying. What was I gonna look
I
up?
know um
Box office mojo. Because this movie did really well at the box office.
I
So
believe it. People were excited. Did it like break records or something, or how did it do compared to its original?
yeah, um,
How do I
see
look
if I
that
can
up?
find an article because I thought I heard that it did break some records potentially, but
Okay.
uh,
200 million.
yeah, it's at over 200 million domestic, 420 million worldwide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is incredible for a film that just opened, very
Last
recently.
weekend, right? Last
Yeah,
last Friday it came out. So it's been a week since it's come out.
yeah, yeah. As of when we're talking, that's true. Um, the let's see. Yeah,
Okay, it's
the
already outgrossed the entire 273.1 million global run of 2002's animated Lilo and Stitch,
oh,
not adjusted for inflation.
the records that it broke. I'm curious about that. It was, yeah, a 3-day weekend. The Memorial Day weekend, of course, broke Memorial Day box office records with 341.7 million worldwide. According to this, it's a relatively sleepy time of the year at the box office. I mean, May is always a big month, but it's probably true that Memorial Day weekend itself might be kind of diminished due to people being out and about and. like family functions and all that stuff. Um,
Well,
but
this says non-families made up 57% of the opening weekend audience.
nice. Wow. Well, I guess you went with your sister
Yeah,
and
yeah.
nephew.
And I went with them. Because we wanted to I know that she wanted to see it, and so, it just happened to be in town, and so it just worked out that we're like, let's go see it while I'm in town, and
Hmm.
that's like one of her favorite movies. Like that's something that she always loved like growing up.
Nice.
And so yeah, and I knew I wanted to see it. I haven't seen something in the theaters in a while, and I think this is only like the third Disney live action that I've seen.
Okay.
Um
I did
yeah,
see I did see the new Snow White.
yeah, I did not see that. Like I don't go to the movies a lot, and I don't watch things like on streaming. Um
Yeah, there's only so much time.
yeah.
The oh,
But I heard Snow White was a flop, and so I
yeah.
was almost expecting the same level of scrutiny with this, which I'm glad that there wasn't.
Yeah, there's a few interesting points I want to bring up. I guess like my original impression of Lilo and Stitch as a kid, I do think I saw it in theaters. Like it came out, there had been like Atlantis, which didn't do very well. There were a couple of attempts to like do some more almost boy-friendly action adventure films with Atlantis and
Love
Treasure.
Atlantis.
Yeah, and then Treasure Planet, I think was the following year, and then they finally found kind of a revival in Lilo and Stitch, which for me was a bit more of like a bizarre film for a 10-year-old because I wasn't really, I don't think, conscious of the more mature themes that the movie was trying to get across. It just kind of seemed like a boring movie about a girl and her dog, basically, but her dog happened to be an alien. It's just like there's not enough action and spectacle. I don't know, but that was just me as a dumb kid. I appreciate it much more now, like the crazy kind of crisis that this family is in.
Yeah.
These sisters. I mean, of course, it's a very outstanding circumstance in which they find themselves having recently been like orphaned. It's kind of like that. I don't know. Did you watch Wendell and Wild? Where,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
we did that. That was a while ago, huh?
yeah, a couple of years ago. But yeah, right at the start of that film, like you see the incident where the chick,
Yeah.
her parents, crashed their vehicle into a river, and yeah, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like let's see, if this came out in 2002, I would have been like 7 um at that time.
I was very sensitive to movies that seemed more targeted towards like girls versus
Yeah.
boys back then too. So I don't know if being a girl helped with your enjoyment the
Well,
film.
I mean, of course, like everybody likes Lilo and Stitch. I don't remember. I mean, it was more like
Yeah,
my sister's thing, really. But yeah, I liked it. But I think, like you were saying about like just kind of not like being, being young, watching it in this like not really understanding the severity of things.
yeah,
At the time, like you've got this basically older sister taking care of her younger sister and the complexities that come with that,
yeah.
um, versus like watching it now as an adult.
Hmm.
And I guess, they did put those more modern changes into it, like, she's when she's going like job searching, like that's something that,
Hmm.
you know, most adults have probably experienced at this point in their life. And hopefully. And then like the whole thing about like you got to get health insurance, you got to get a job with health insurance. Like,
Hmm.
oh, you don't have health insurance. Like those are things that like now, obviously that wasn't touched on in the original, but now, you're getting these adult problems and you're more receptive to knowing about
Hmm.
like being I guess like sympathetic to the situation because as an
Mhm.
adult like I don't have health insurance like I'd be screwed
Uh,
really. But
it's kind of an educational way. Like, yeah. Thankfully, yeah, as someone who that does pay health insurance premium every month, like I at least don't have the pressure of watching this and being triggered by like as a reminder. Oh shoot, I need to fill out
oh man, gotta get health insurance. Yeah.
because that can be like I hate bureaucracy or I hate dealing with admin work of filling out forms and going that can be just so um dispiriting to have to go through the rigmarole of digging up maybe your personal information, social security info, past what is it, tax forms or income or things like that, and try to fill out an application. And it's a time sink that yeah can be demoralizing, and yeah, but yeah, unfortunately, there are people who find themselves in a situation where like you know if they can't just afford to pay a bunch out of pocket for a service, then they have to go through like the bureaucratic route. But that's similarly um, it's similarly kind of out of people's grasp as well. So yeah, it's similarly prohibitive, I should say. I mean, not everyone has access to like a computer or what have you to do all this stuff. So like, yeah, you get into this real world sort of quagmire.
Yeah.
But I found that interesting. I enjoy kind of people dealing with this on screen in a compelling way. Of course, the sci-fi injection of like an alien is thrown in the mix, so like that's always fun. But this scenario, minus like the sci-fi cartoon elements, of course, was I thought excellently portrayed. And then you get into even some, much darker, more mature, like R-rated themes, but also weirdly like Disney adjacent with the movie, The Florida Project, which you've
Yeah,
seen.
I've
Yeah.
seen that one. Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. Like Willem Dafoe, incredible. He might have been nominated for an Oscar. But like, yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. And um, yeah, the Florida Project is
That's
a reference to
a good
yeah
one. Yeah, I want to rewatch this.
yeah the code name for the original construction of Walt Disney World was the Florida Project, um, and the movie is set in Florida, near uh, near
Disney.
the parks. Yeah, um, but and that is about a adult woman and her child, daughter that she's raising basically to Um, yeah, so the circumstance of the sister having raised, and I don't know, Nani, yeah, she's maybe barely in her 20s, um, just still very young, basically a kid herself.
Right.
Um,
How old
and
is she supposed to be? Do we know?
yeah, I don't know this
Let's see.
actress. Let's see how, but the character herself, it's hard to say. Um, yes, Sydney Agudong is the actress, and she's been a few things. I don't think I've seen anything. She was in NCIS, um, and then the original Lilo and Stitch shares a cast member with the new one, where what's her name? The original voice
Of
of the
Nani is the CPS worker.
yes.
Yeah, I think also the old lady is something too.
Yeah, Tia Carrere was Nani. Yeah,
I
it
think
was,
the neighbor Tutu, I think she was something
okay,
in the original also as well.
okay. Amy Hill, Mrs. Hasegawa.
Pull up the cast. I don't. Oh, where'd it go?
Yeah. Um, I've got the page up right here. Um, yeah, I
Was
just
she in the original, or maybe I didn't? Maybe I got that wrong.
okay. Amy Hill.
Oh,
What's
she was. She was.
this is the same character basically.
Yeah, I'm assuming, but th it wasn't as big of a role in the original. But also, I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't know. But also is that she's the babysitter from The Cat in the Hat, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I like when I saw her, I was like, I swear, like that's gotta be her. Yes, and I just am looking at that now. What a freaky
Oh,
movie.
wow. Oh yeah, the Cat in the Hat is kind of like ooh, one of those just kind of all around consensus mistakes of a film uh, from someone who was as big at the time as Mike Myers was. Like he, I think his career took kind of a hit after. I mean, he had a couple of really bad duds with the Love Guru, and then I think he was just trying to do a really safe bet with the Cat in the Hat, and that was just derided as well. So yeah, kind of a weird phenomenon. Um, the yeah, that character Amy Hill plays Mrs. Hasagawa in the original was that there was a funny moment where Nani is talking to an old lady and she doesn't really understand what Nani's saying. She's like, no, no, I was hoping someone was going to respond to my ad. And then Nani's like, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I
I
do
wonder if
remember
that's
that.
that character. Because she's a little more like out of it in the original version, if that's the case.
Yes, yeah. I need to watch the original again and hopefully we could still do the an episode with Lara.
Yeah, yeah, we're
I
hoping I
mean,
was
it'll actually give me some time to watch it, which is good. So,
yeah, Lara had an issue today with her car. Otherwise, we were going to do another record to peel back the curtain. But wishing Laura well, definitely with stuff she's got going on. Um, yeah, the David Kowena, who's the a friend of Nani. I don't know. He might not have any relation to that. Okay, this Amy Hill character is named Tutu. I let's see. It's a different character in this new film. Goes by the name of Tutu, a native Hawaiian in her 70s, who's longtime neighbor of the Pelikais and the grandmother of David. So that makes more sense. Yeah, Lilo and Nani Pelikai is their name.
yeah.
Um, No, I mean, there's just a lot of like rich texture to this film, which is kind of contrasted from maybe other more straightforward animated movies from the Walt Disney Studios or your conventional kids film. I don't know, Disney, Pixar, like they've always tried to tackle more mature themes and not be strictly kids movies,
Right.
but it's hard to avoid that stigma with animation in the US especially. Um, so it is kind of it always is more pronounced when you see mature themes portrayed in a movie like this, or especially like a 2D animated film like the original, versus something that is more you know straightforwardly dramatic and live action. This has like the whole Disney angle to it. So I don't know. You expect this to maybe be more willing to tackle darker themes, considering it is live action. But I love it when an animated film is willing to kind of go to some, tricky places. Yeah, but I'm very sympathetic too to, the younger generation and, the folks you might have been seeing the movie with and how they, you know, are able to glean the subject that's being presented to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a PG film, deals with, um, I guess, it's kind of like an ET scenario that,
Yeah. Honestly, good comparison with that one.
yeah, yeah, but, getting the whole like government, child protective services, in on the, uh,
Yeah.
situation too, that adds an extra layer to things. I don't know. You really like that film, Marcel the Shell with
Love it.
shoes on. Yeah, and that was directed by the same guy who directed this, Dean Fleischer Camp.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so he was a big, he basically, was in charge of any of the changes made to this version of the film, along with his, writers. There's Chris Kalani. Wait, okay. There's a guy who has a very like Hawaiian sounding name, but his name's Chris Bright, and then, his middle name, provided it's a man, a dude, but. And then Mike Van Weiss is the other writer I see here. Um, So yeah, you got kind of a different writing team who's developing this new screenplay along with director Dean Fleischer Camp from Marcel the Shell. But yeah, I don't know. Did you notice any similarities, would you say?
And, like
With,
in
with
in his directing style and his
yeah,
um no, not that I could probably think off the top of my head, but this is brand new information to me, so I wonder if I were to watch it again with that in mind, if I would pick up on anything.
yeah.
I
I don't
did
know
not know that.
that that a previous film, Marcel the Shell, didn't talk down to kids. I thought that was something I noticed about, that film is, as much as it, I think, was enjoyable for all audiences. There were plenty of kind of grown up subjects that, were woven in the background. You had like this couple who was, and going through relationship issues. I think they like even break up eventually. Something.
Yeah, I mean, so I had like followed the like when it was like on YouTube, like when I was in high school, like Marcel the Shell was like a funny YouTube video.
Yeah.
And then they made what the movie was a couple years ago or whatever, but I'm like looking at the cast. I guess I don't remember this movie at all. But I'm like looking at
I
the
think.
cast for the movie and I'm like Nathan Fielder. Like I just finished the rehearsal today. I'm like I didn't know he was in the Marcel movie. Um
Well, yeah, and, I think it begins with like a couple.
uh-huh.
I don't know if they're, fiance, or, they're engaged, or if they're married, but like I think they start out, trying to restore this big old house, but then the relationship falls apart, and so like I think they leave the house from that film, from what I remember, and it's just sitting empty for a long time, and that's when Marcel's kind of getting up to his adventures, or I don't know. There's a whole, uh, journey surrounding this big old house that's kind of a fixer upper, and, that's the plot that's kind of going on in the background. Um, but it's not really the focal point of the film. But I guess kind of a similarly like adult story to like the
Yeah.
yeah.
Like Marcel the Shell to me is like that's a movie f for grown-ups. Like it's not like something a kid is gonna be like, I want to watch that movie about the shell. I don't really see, I don't know, but maybe it's because
It's maybe a little slow moving for some
yeah.
kids, but yeah, I mean, it was I know it was nominated for like best animated film, I think a couple years ago. Um, yeah, interesting stuff there, but um, yeah, mm, I guess what can I say? You know, the design of Stitch, this new one, I appreciated how much he kind of looked like a really cute dog. He reminds me of
I thought it was
yeah,
thought it looked really good. Like
yeah,
he's so cute. And it's the original voice actor for him, correct?
right. That's Chris Sanders who um, created the character, basically Stitch, the animator. But yeah, his he didn't have much involvement in this new version other than voicing the character because he actually made the the good robot with DreamWorks. So he was
Did that
busy with
just come out recently?
yeah,
Like not too long ago?
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Last last fall,
Okay.
and yeah, design of Stitch. I mean, he reminded me of our dog, my parents' dog, Mario, who's a Shih Tzu. And not Mario's not quite as mischievous, but still, yeah, big cutie. I mean, I love the alien design too of the Stitch character. You know, when he's got the six arms and like
Oh
the
yeah. Yeah.
antenna,
When he starts to like assimilate to like looking like a dog and he's like, wait,
got
so many arms and I got these antennas. Let me just
the fins on his back that shred tires. Um, yeah, lot of fun hijinks there, and not nearly as dynamic as in the animated version, but that's to be expected.
So
Um,
he created the character in 1985.
wow,
Well, I don't know if Wikipedia could be.
that makes sense. You know, he probably had the idea rattling around in his head for a long time.
Yeah, created in 1985, wrote the film story and voiced Stitch in almost all of the media appearances for it.
Okay. Uh,
Fun
hey,
fact for you.
Chris Sanders is from Colorado. I thought it
Yeah.
was odd in the animated version. There, Lila's going through her book collection, and there was one book that's just like road maps of Iowa, just randomly, a map book of Iowa. So I wonder if someone on the production of that film is from Iowa or something. But in this new one, trying to remember if there are any funny Easter eggs that I recall. Still, kind of got the Elvis Presley theme
Little
woven
bit of
through.
that, but she wasn't as, I feel like she didn't have the same kind of like Lilo hyperfixations. Like she wasn't as the personality of Lilo in the new one versus the old one, I feel, and maybe it's because she's like a real person, like, and they obviously probably don't want to, I guess, set this little girl up for failure as she is now, a child star. But like I feel like in the original, like Lilo is much more menacing, like as like an annoying little child, like obsessed
Yeah,
with Elvis, like she bites kids. Myrtle, who's like I'm not even in this, like
yeah,
not as like annoying and like annoying is not the right word to use. Like animated Lilo just had this quirkiness about her that I feel
Mhm.
wasn't translated into this new version.
Yeah, I'm not one to judge, child performance too harshly, but I thought this actress did excellent. Maya
Oh, yes, yes,
Ilova.
yes.
Yeah.
I just think the Lilo character is different in this movie.
Yeah,
This,
I mean toned down certainly.
then again, because probably because it is like a real person, like that is they aren't drawing a character and making something up. That this is a girl that after this movie will have to, also still be a real person. So they probably didn't want to be like,
Mhm.
make her
Yeah, put her in any
compromising
oh
situation, I
gosh.
suppose.
You can probably hear the sirens going off. My goodness, and freaking New York City over here. Uh, yeah, she,
But she did great. Yes.
yeah,
I just think the characters like they're just different.
hmm
Like not as like bratty, especially as well. Um,
yeah. The original voice is sort of, I think she was fairly well known. Davy Chase. I know she went on to do other things as well. I think, um, but gotta check out. Um, because I think she had a certain involvement in or like a certain ownership that she felt over the character of Lilo
oh,
Devi.
I believe it.
Yeah. But what else did she go on to do? Um,
She was in Donnie Darko.
yeah, yeah. Been two major recently. So I think she's kind of, not been overly active
Yeah.
recently, but had a decent career there for a while as a child actress.
It says she seemingly struggled with the transition from child star to adult actress.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I mean, I guess a lot of this would have been when she was young. Everything.
She was born in 1990. Yeah, she did the English version of Chihiro from Spirited Away.
Yeah, I see
The
that.
girl there. Um,
It seems like
yeah,
everything that she did is mostly like within those early 2000s. And then that's it.
yeah. It's a different scenario doing the voice versus live action,
Yeah.
um, and you're having to. I'm. That's probably complicated a little bit too with the aging process. But I don't think Lilo necessarily was a character overly at risk of her aging out of the role. Um, but a lot of times with these animated films, you record over the course of maybe a couple of years while the animators are working on it. Um,
Well,
yeah,
and she continued on and to still do the
some of the sequels.
sequel and yeah, and Leroy and Stitch. Is-
Yeah, the last portrayal of Lilo I'm seeing here is probably 2006. Lilo and Stitch, the series.
Uh,
So yeah, Leroy and Stitch. That was a like a one-off TV movie.
they did so much. Like
Yeah.
off of the I don't think I mean and it was a lot of I feel like it was all so close together too. Like Lilo and Stitch, and then was 2002. Then Stitch the movie was 2003. Then Lilo and Stitch 2 was 2005. And then Leroy and Stitch 2006 with the series going from 2003 to 2006. So like it was like it I feel like it all of the things for that like happened so condensed versus like
Hmm.
I feel like normally like when they're doing like a little franchise, it could be like a little bit more spread out because I'm trying to think of like what else had like a movie and then as well as like a series like The Little Mermaid did.
Yeah. Yeah, all those big Renaissance era Disney films had a similar thing where
Emperor's New Groove did uh they did a series.
yeah. Well, and then I guess 2006 might have been the last spin-off, but that um coincides with the time that Disney basically abandoned all of their 2D animation. Um,
Oh, that would make sense too, huh?
yeah, yeah, they might have continued some like television animated production around that, but yeah, the feature animation shifted entirely to CGI,
Mm.
um, with a brief revival that kind of required them to totally start from scratch with Princess and the Frog, and then that Winnie the Pooh film that came out a couple years after that. But other than that, yeah, the I think the move away from 2D animation is partly why we've seen very little from Stitch until just this year.
Well, I mean, they definitely still have like the fan base. I mean, you could go into a store still and you'll see Stitch merchandise. Like that has never, I feel like, gone away. Like,
Yeah, a Stitch's great escape was the theme park attraction, a theater in the round experience located in Tomorrowland that was open from 2004 to 2018.
oh, I would have missed out on that, I do believe.
You know,
I
I
didn't go to the parks during that time.
I was at Magic Kingdom during that time once, but we didn't. I don't think we ever did that. Uh, I think it was, I wasn't really a Stitch fan to begin with, so I think we were fine skipping it. Um, the it doesn't have a very good reputation. Stitch's greatest game, but yeah, I mean, popular character, popular franchise, and that has borne true. Certainly now with the box office results from this new
Yeah,
flood.
seriously.
Yeah, incredible, incredible. And yeah, I thought it, you know, as much as I'm not someone who advocates for the uh, continuing to take these classic animated films from Walt Disney Animation and just reskinning them with the live action coat of paint. Um, I I also know that you can kind of make a decent product out of any sort of and any kind of endeavor, whatever kind of format you want to adopt to pursue this creative end, being a major motion picture that needs to be marketed to millions of film goers, um, and it's hard to try to get people to come out to the movie theaters to begin with. So it helps to have a recognizable brand to entice them. So they had to put together this. They had to stitch together this story about a broken family uh, who encounters an alien from a distant galaxy, uh, and base it on a pre-existing intellectual property, remaking a film from 23 years ago. Um, and I thought it turned out pretty decent, all things considered.
As far as like live action remakes go, I think they did well with it. I haven't seen many. The ones that I have seen, I have enjoyed, but I do know that it has been said that Disney's kind of in their flop era. So I'm glad that this is seemingly getting pretty well received as far as I know, I suppose. And then like I'm especially compared to Snow White, which I still will watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I feel like some of the hate is forced on certain things, especially when it comes to remakes and stuff. So that's why I always try to watch it and give it a chance anyways, because
Mhm.
some people just like different things.
Oh, and that was, I don't know, I'm perhaps even more forgiving of something like Snow White, where it's not a film that, or I guess it is something that maybe was due for a refresh, being a film from the 1930s. So I don't know. Uh, it's certainly no uncommon practice to remake films in Hollywood.
Right.
Um, but yeah, just the way in which these tend to lack originality can be kind of um, demoralizing. But yeah, I wasn't planning on seeing Lilo and Stitch. I think part of why I went was because I messaged you guys on the chat, and you said you saw it,
Yeah.
and you agreed to do it. So I definitely made the made the
Like the
effort.
first movie I've been able to keep up with. Like I'm usually pretty behind on everything that you guys go see and talk about. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love like the Hawaiian aesthetic, the tropical vibes. It's set on the Hawaiian island of Kauai, which is one of the more remote of the inhabited islands in Hawaii. Um, and yeah, just like the all around, like I love, the time revisiting the original Moana and then seeing yeah, that's another thing. The Moana sequel was a huge box office success from Disney more recently. We're definitely in their flop era, like you said, but sporadically intermixed with some of these just gigantic um, financial boons for
well,
yeah.
it may be making them money, but I didn't see the Moana sequel, but I didn't hear good things about that one either. So, I mean, it's like they're putting stuff out and like it's just not getting well received. And I mean, honestly, this could just be just bitter Disney adults, I don't know. But
It didn't get great reviews, Moana 2. I enjoyed like I'm just so biased towards all things like warmth and
yeah,
I'm like Olaf. I like warm hugs.
I
Um,
don't have a skull or bones.
you heard that?
yeah, I
Uh,
heard it. Yeah,
okay.
and I loved Moana like when it came out. Like I still love Moana. Um, I don't know. I didn't make it a priority to see the sequel. Um, but I heard it was like a almost like a Frozen 2 type situation where she's like a spirit or something.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good
I
observation.
don't I haven't seen it. So did you guys cover that already? Maybe that could be
We
an
we
episode.
we did. We covered it, and I definitely recommend seeing it. And yeah, like the whole transcending the mortal realm of on behalf of the main protagonist is kind of a fun, interesting parallel. It's not a big deal in this, probably not as big a deal as it is in Frozen 2. But there is like a similar kind of thing with like, Moana's destiny. And, of course, she was going to be this person who would go on to do great things. So I guess, it's kind of fun to see that progression. take place in this new sequel. But yeah, Moana 2 did like this crazy amount at the box office, over $1 billion worldwide. So as much as the reviews didn't reflect necessarily the highest of quality, it definitely succeeded for the studio.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, the reviews for the new live action Stitch film are, being referred to as like lukewarm. So, not not bad per se, but also not like stellar,
Yeah.
glowing.
And then also like it just came out, so there's still time for people to see it and have their opinion about it. 'Cause I really don't think I've seen many people talking about it, like, scrolling on Facebook like I did for things like Snow White and Moana, and I haven't I saw a lot leading up to this, but I don't think I've really seen much discourse as far as like just blatant hate like I saw with other things. So maybe
Yeah, I don't know if Lilo and Stitch really inspires that level of fandom within people. I think it's sort of like, people see the movie as, quality, but they aren't overly I don't know, maybe it's just because the movies from that era of Disney, weren't the most like celebrated to begin with. And so people aren't overly protective. It's kind of like the Disney Dark Ages. They just don't feel overly protective of those.
I don't know. I feel like people would be protective over this. However, I do think there's a difference though with it being like really I think what people like the most is is Stitch from the movie, and there wasn't really a lot to change about him, you know?
Yeah, he can kind of be thrown into a variety of different scenarios. It's
Like
just kind
all
of
the merchandise you see, all the t-shirts and toys, like you're not getting Lilo stuff. Like everybody, it's all Stitch. So I feel like as far as that goes, for people to be protective over Stitch, there's really not much that you could change about him that would like, piss people off, I guess, unless you
right.
because his design was bad and which we know from the Sonic movie, the fans would have bullied the studio from making a bad decision, I'm sure. But the design was great. So
Yeah, there
really
was, yeah,
get upset with
certainly,
there.
yeah, certainly a risk of those kinds of things going awry with this film. But yeah, they really kind of stuck the landing, and I was kind of surprised with how much I thought. Yeah, the design was spot on, and the performances, the child performance. I had seen like no trailers as far as I can recall of like what kind of characterizations were they going for with Lilo and Nani, and are these characters
Is that
even
girl's first thing?
um
It's
yeah,
gotta be. She's so young.
probably one of the first thing, if I were to um hazard a guess with the way these things usually go, the uh, they often will cast a kid actor, but because a movie like this takes a little while to come out, she's probably done other things. Let's see. She was in Moana 2. It's not even it's just a vague additional crew credit. So yeah, she this is her this actress.
It says her breakout.
Yeah, Maya. So, and yeah, usually when you have a young kid break out in a big budget movie like this, she'll get hired onto something smaller, and that will have all come out since that original casting. But not even something like I'm sure there's well, there's an upcoming movie she's scheduled to be in called The Wrecking Crew. So she was probably cast in that based off of getting cast in Lilo and Stitch.
She's gonna be really popular up
Yeah.
and coming, I believe, because of how well she did and how cute she is, you know?
Yeah, Maya Kiloa. Um, yeah, and then the Sydney actress did really well too. A lot to mind from the new Lilo and Stitch, and yeah, I just had no interest really. The How to Train Your Dragon thing. Like I just had, I was almost more intrigued by this film just because I'm less familiar with Lilo and Stitch than How to Train Your Dragon, and I've less like personal affection for that 2002 film. So I thought it was an interesting subject to kind of take on in a more real world perspective. Um, but like something like How to Train Your Dragon is just such a wacky premise, and more, I think, conducive to animation to begin with. That I'm much less looking forward to that, than I would say, revisiting something like the new live action Lilo and Stitch. But we'll see. I mean, that people love How to Train Your Dragon. Um,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it, so I'm gonna have to, I guess, go and see what it's all about. The
yeah,
original.
yeah, that's one where I kind of do feel sort of protective of it, and I feel it's kind of cynical for them. What else can they do other than put on a fresh coat of paint, which seems to be what they're doing with like using the exact same design concepts, these aesthetic.
It looks really good.
Yeah, the quality is good, but it's just so similar, seemingly based on the trailers.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some interesting deviations
And
from.
the original animation, I mean, it's not it's more modern than like Lilo and Stitch was too, so it's almost what
Yeah,
is it, DreamWorks? Okay.
DreamWorks. Gerard Butler, plays the same character, even the father. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's very YA storyline. Um, and some of those YA adaptations can be kind of mid. Um, like what was like the Percy Jackson movie back from maybe a decade ago, or Logan Lerman, I think was the actor, Alexandra, the actors who have gone on to do much better things. It was kind of a disappointing attempt at a new franchise back then. I think there's like a new Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus that's been doing pretty well, as far as I know. But, so yeah, Lilo and Stitch. I guess it's been really fun, just riffing on the adventure. These misadventures of uh, Hawaiian roller coaster ride. um, yeah, Stitch, the alien dog. We don't know what he is. He's an experiment, a one-off creation, and he gets lost on planet Earth. He doesn't like the water, but thankfully he crashed on an island, um, where as opposed to drowning,
Right.
um, and gets embroiled in this domestic affair involving a recently orphaned pair of sisters. And yeah, like the way his involvement in their life um, just puts a whole wrench in their problems. You don't know if it's gonna heal things or just utterly wreck the the situation. But no, it's all about finding Ohana. Um, and yeah, very very effective. Um, According to at least the large number of audience goers
Yeah.
or audience members who saw the film. Now, I like what you were saying though about how there are a variety of people who will have very nuanced opinion of the film based on their own personal experience, which I think is important for all movies, but especially something like this, which could really strike a chord, I think, with certain people. Um, and yeah, I don't know, maybe depending on a person's um, background, it is something that's a lot more sentimental. And and yeah, I need to, I don't know. In my adult years, I'm definitely much more appreciative of stories like this, that are about broken families, because I that's really not something that fortunately, I don't have that whole broken family experience. Um, in my background that I can really um pull from to really empathize fully with you know with what Lilo and Nani are going through.
I think that's why it's, important that these children's movies do touch on topics like that, because for someone like that is their reality. And for others, it kind of just is like a reminder to us like that, you know, you never really like know we don't know like how other people live or how they experience life. And so touching on topics like that, like it's good for kids to see,
Yeah,
so that they can learn to have empathy and care about other people, not just themselves.
yeah. I mean, how likely in Lilo's mind does she think she's ever going to make the trip to Disneyland or Disney World? In her
Right.
that probably seems like just a very distant, just such a distant dream for someone like her. But no, they're able to find hope at least, and this movie has a happy ending. But something like that's no guarantee for someone like this. But that would be a much more depressing movie. I guess
Yeah.
at the end of the Florida Project, the little girl, she does make it in the Disney World, but not through legal means, right? She like
Right.
sneaks in.
Is that based on a true story?
I don't know. There's
Like
probably a lot of
inspired in a way by, is it real? I don't think that's a true story.
is the
It's someone's true story, I'm sure.
based. Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
It's
Uh,
got to be inspired. No, it's not. It feels like it would be though,
yeah, yeah, draws inspiration from real life experiences. Yeah,
You know that the
Sean,
final scene was shot without authorization in Disney World's Magic Kingdom using an iPhone 6S Plus?
that's awesome. Rogue uh, guerrilla cinematography.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you got to do to make an expose about the harsh reality behind the Orlando lifestyle.
Mhm.
Well, that pretty much wraps things up for Lilo and Stitch. But man, thank you, Alex, for really all you've offered today and being willing to share your thoughts and kind of inspiring me to go see this film that I might have missed it, and I'm
Well, just glad I was able to at least keep up with something. It's been like a year, 2 years since I've done an episode, it feels like. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely want to have you back as much as you like because no, I I like the, and honestly, you know, I wouldn't say you came in overly hot with your takes or anything. You're very, you know, reasoned and tempered and all that. But like, hey, I welcome hot takes on on this show, just because it's interesting and everyone has an opinion. So I'm just curious to hear what people have to say. I don't really, there's sometimes that people get overly triggered by hearing an opinion that rubs them the wrong way. But I think we just got to realize that we all have differing perspectives. And, you know, if you don't have to be threatened by just one person's thoughts. But that's not this kind. We're not really that type of show here. I
Yeah, no, I didn't think like I was gonna get shamed or blamed for anything that I thought, but just in case there's any, fans out there, I don't want to get bullied on the internet.
no, but yeah, you're welcome to bring the heat anytime if you've got any any sharper opinions on any of the other stuff that we want to cover. I welcome it. What was I? Oh yeah, yeah. People on the internet they struggle with nuance, and yeah, there's a phenomenon known as context collapse, where just it feels like if you're not trained to accept that this is just one person's perspective out of millions, it can feel like a personal affront when you're reading something that is just the opposite of what you think, or hearing it on a podcast. But yeah, it's no, this movie has the potential to strike a chord based on the um, kind of the potentially dire situations that people find themselves in. And I mean, I guess the silver lining is that that um, yeah, as long as we can live on to fight another day,
Yeah.
we don't worry about all the silly, the stupid, you know, like health insurance, all that stuff. It's like that'll take care of itself in its own time. And if you just need to take a breath, take a breath, as long as you can find a way to achieve peace in in the present, then definitely take the time to do that first, and then you can move on to the next thing and just take things one at a time. Yeah, it helps some. That's why it kind of it helps to do something like adopt a pet. Something
Yeah.
that you can put your focus on outside of your immediate problems. Yeah, yeah. Do you Alex have any pets currently?
I have two cats.
Nice. So they help you maintain your sanity.
No, they drive me crazy.
Well, you still love them, or
Love them so much, yes, of course.
okay? Didn't want to touch on anything, you know.
No, they're just silly girls, crazy girls.
Yeah. Well, cats they can be quite the adventure, I'm sure. All right. Well, that's been the Thoughtcast conversations about animation on Lilo and Stitch from 2025. And thank you for listening. Thank you so much, Alex, for the chat. And I don't know, do you have any final thoughts and or social media before we sign off?
Um, no final thoughts. I am on Instagram at ADZAYEEDEEZY, but that's where you can
Yeah,
find me.
cool. Um, links in the show notes, podcast.com at podcast on social media. I'm at Philip Elke on social media. So yeah, feel free to reach out to the show, to me and Alex, and we can hopefully have any productive conversations on any social commentary that this
Just don't
uh,
bully us.
conversation might provoke. Yeah, yeah, no bullying, and hopefully, you know, it's not too hard to root out those spam comments when they come. But it can be jarring. I'm sure you have experience with that, Alex, like getting feedback, and
Yeah.
it can feel so much more. I think, would you say, it feels just way more serious than it actually is when you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially like I care what people think, so
Yeah.
too much, and I shouldn't.
Well, it just kind of takes time to work through some of this stuff. It's very true. But yeah, and sometimes, the opinions of others can have real world consequences. But most of the time, it's just noise. And yes, if it's someone who's in a position of authority, certainly, if you're getting a performance review at a job or something, I mean, that has real world implications. But yeah, anytime you see like a nasty comment online or something like that, it's painful, but thankfully, it's not going to really have much bearing on on your real life long term.
No.
But yeah, it's all about maintaining that perspective. And yeah, at least we have things like movies like Lilo and Stitch we can put on as comfort.
Yeah.
So yeah, Alex, thanks again. And if you catch up on anything else on Disney Plus or in movie theaters, let me know. And I'm happy to take recommendations. And hopefully we can have you on again soon on the Thoughtcast. But for now, for Alex in Georgia, I'm Philip here on the Thoughtcast, wishing everyone a magical day. Have a wonderful week. Warm hugs.